So welcome, welcome. Today we are here with a wonderful student panel that has volunteered their time to share some information about two programs. The first program is Applied Drug Development, which we will probably affectionately refer to as ADD throughout this presentation. And then the second program is Psychoactive Pharmaceutical Investigation. We'll also shorten that to be PPI. Let's go ahead and get started with the introductions of the panelists. I will hand it to T so that she can tell us a little bit about herself and give a brief description of her educational background and which program she's currently in.
Hi, everyone. I'm really glad to be here, so thank you for the opportunity. I am in the PPI Master's Program. This is my second semester in the program. I graduated from UW-Madison in 2017 with my bachelor's in horticulture and environmental studies. I will pass it on to Erin now.
Hi, everyone. I'm Erin. I have a PharmD degree from the University of Iowa, but I've lived and worked in Madison for over a decade at this point. So I'm a Madison local now. And I guess Kaylin's next.
Hi, I graduated from UW in 2019, majored in neurobiology, did a semester in the capstone program, and now I'm a full-time master's student in the ADD program. And then, yeah, next is Zach.
Hi, everybody. My name is Zach Miller. I graduated from Purdue University in the spring of 2020 with a bachelor's in biology and biomedical science. And I'm also in the ADD master's program. This will be my second semester.
All right, great. Thank you so much for those introductions. And my name is Stephanie. I work with both applied drug development and psychoactive pharmaceutical investigation. My job is to make sure that students have everything they need from the moment they apply to the program all the way through till they're alumni. So always happy to be here and chatting with our students and sharing information to prospective students. All right, so now we'll get started with the questions that we have prepared. And after about a half hour of this, we will open it up for you all to ask questions for the panelists. This first question will go out to everyone, and we'll start with T. As you were researching programs, T, what drew you to this particular program? And what were a few of the things that stood out to you about the program?
Thanks for the question, Stephanie. Well, actually, so I had taken some time off after my bachelor's to go into the professional world. I had started my master's at UW in a different program, but I had to leave. And I saw an article about this program, and I'd always said, I'm not going back to school unless it's something I'm really passionate about. So I wasn't even looking for graduate programs, but this appeared in my life, and I looked more into it and applied. But what really stood out was the fact that this was the first kind of program in the US, and that we'd be looking at psychoactive and pharmaceutical applications, which is a super hot topic in both medicine and therapy and holistic plant medicine, which I'm most interested in. So that's kind of what prompted me to apply and maintain the program.
All right, excellent. Thank you, T. We'll continue on with the PPI perspective. Erin?
Yeah, thank you, Stephanie. I forgot to mention I'm in the PPI program as well, but it says in my name, so hopefully you caught that. But I'm in the capstone program, so a shorter version, which can sort of roll into the master's program, which I'm considering as well. So I just have been interested in psychoactive substances. It's a really hot topic, like T said, and coming from the medical perspective, I just know that that's not a big part of what my education was, and that there's kind of this gap in knowledge for medical professionals in that area that really needs to be filled in as things progress. So I was looking for a bit of a career change, trajectory change, and was really surprised, like T said, to hear that the UW-Madison had the first master's program in this field in the country. And I was just excited to learn that that was happening right in my backyard. So the timing just worked perfectly in an area that I'm interested in, and was excited to be part of UW.
Thank you, Erin. Now switching gears a little, but still the same question for ADD, Kaylin, what drew you to the program?
Let's see. So when I graduated undergrad, I didn't know what I was doing, so I got a job because I had to make money. And then I wanted to go back to school super bad. I didn't know with what at all. So I work in a pharma company. So I saw the ADD program on Facebook actually. It was like one of those like spam ads that threw up. I don't know what triggered it. But yeah, so I saw that, started looking into it, and I saw how new it was and how it kind of directly relates to like my job. And I got really excited because I have never, my undergrad was neurobio. I don't know anything about drugs, how to make them, how they're regulated, what was going on. So I was really intrigued just because it was something very different. And the program just looked, the structure of it was really exciting. So I just stumbled upon the program in a really wonderful way.
Sounds like great happenstance. And Zach, what about you? Your perspective on what drew you to ADD?
I would say my perspective is very similar to Kaylin's in that I kind of stumbled upon this program. I had been looking into it kind of in conjunction with my job search, just to see, because I thought, maybe I would be interested in pursuing a master's program along with, working in conjunction in the industry. So I had really kind of stumbled upon it by happenstance also. But something that really drew me to the program was the flexibility of it and the online coursework, so I could complete it, in conjunction with my career, and also just the reputation of the program. UW-Madison has an excellent pharmacy program, so that also drew me to the program. And really the time commitment also, the fact that I could complete it at an accelerated pace if I needed to. So yeah, that all factored in.
All right, lots of flexibility. And Zach, while you're with us, you touched on this a little, but expand on your experience so far with the online courses. How's your coursework going in this online format that you've been exposed to?
I really enjoy the flexibility of the online coursework. I think there's a great balance between synchronous sessions where we're all meeting together along with asynchronous sessions, where you can kind of go through the material at your own pace. Every course kind of has its own course rhythm guide related to it that the professors will post to kind of walk you through how fast you should be going through like lectures and quizzes and posting discussions and responses. And I think there's a lot of really engaging material, especially reading material that I can kind of go back to as I progress throughout my career. And I really think there's a lot of great professors and ways to engage with them. And even though this is an online program, there's a lot of great ways to engage with classmates too. And I know I've worked on a project with T before. So yeah, really great. There's a lot of diverse backgrounds, I would say also. So that's been really cool to get a lot of different perspectives on pharmaceutical development in the industry.
All right, thank you, Zach. And for those of you on the call, you may notice Zach is in the ADD program, T is in the PPI program, but they worked in a group because there's coursework that overlaps between the two programs. So you do get the networking within your own program, but also across the two. And Erin, I'm gonna take it to you for a second. Anything else that you'd want to add or contribute to the experience of the online learning platform?
I would echo that the flexibility works really well for working professionals to be able to complete the coursework in the evenings or on the weekends or whatever schedule works best for you is a huge benefit. And I've been actually really surprised with how well I feel like I'm getting to know my classmates despite that that setup. I kind of thought I would be learning in a void and, submitting assignments and never seeing anyone, but there's a lot of communication, a lot of discussion posts and group projects and some synchronous meetings, as was mentioned. And so I actually feel like I'm getting to know people's backgrounds and personalities almost better than I did in my, in-person previous degree, just because, I only sat by the same people in class. and didn't always talk with everyone else. So I actually think it lends itself well to getting to know your classmates. And one thing I really love coming from the pharmacy background is how many non-pharmacists are in the PPI program. I just feel like they add such a refreshing perspective. We have such a huge breadth of backgrounds from psychology to lawyers to nurses and, everything in between. So I just feel like I'm always interested to hear their thoughts on articles because we take such different things from the same readings and same lectures.
All right. Thank you, Erin. That is such a great focus, that notion of the interdisciplinary learning experience that comes with a diverse set of backgrounds. All right, moving on to the next question, and I'll send it to you, T, first. What has been your favorite aspect or experience of this program so far, and why?
Actually, it's similar to what Erin was speaking about, in that there's so much diversity in where we're located, what our fields are, what our interests are. And so we're reading the same material, but we're engaging a lot online and then even outside of our classwork platforms. And that's been really rich. We share articles, we share different events that are going on related to whatever we're reading about or speaking about for the module. And I, as someone who works remotely and I don't live on campus anymore, is really nice to build that kind of community and have it be really expansive. We have people from Brazil, China, Canada, and from all kinds of backgrounds, like Erin mentioned. So I work in the cannabis industry, and I never really took the opportunity to speak with pharmacists or speak with people in different industries about my profession. And so it really lends a beautiful network. And that's been my favorite part, one of my favorite parts. The professors are amazing too. So that always helps.
Thank you, T. And Kaylin, I'm going to ask the same question of you with a little bit of the ADD perspective added to it. What's been your favorite aspect of the experience in this program so far, and why?
I could piggyback on everything that's already been said, but to kind of add to everything, I think the most, my favorite part, or what I've really gotten out of this, is how this program kind of prepares you for life in all aspects. I feel like I'm not only job prepared, but with how tight knit this program is, not just with students. I have made actually so many friends in this program, which I did not make nearly as many in undergrad, but with the professors too. I've had life skills developed from these professors. I've had genuine relationships created with these professors where I know when I graduate, if I have a job question, I need a recommendation, or they can help you get better jobs and just all sorts of even just life questions, hey, do you think this is good on my resume? I just really like how prepared I feel for the rest of my life, because I've never felt that way ever. And this class has helped with that a lot. The material is really relevant to so many different fields. There's just so many open doors from this program, which is really cool.
That's great. Thank you so much for sharing. All right, new question, and I'll start it off with Zach. So there's flexibility to complete the programs in 1 year or take more time. What is your timeline for completion, and why have you chosen that timeline?
So my timeline, I'm currently on the 1 year accelerated completion track, which honestly, some people I've talked to are like, you're crazy, how are you doing that? Because I'm also working full time along with that. So I don't know. As far as why I've done it, I think I was just really excited to stretch myself while I'm also working, just to gain more experience and perspective on the program, or not on the program, on the industry. And yeah, just really, I don't know, as far as doing it in 1 year, just kind of allowing myself to take that next step sooner, I think is really why I've decided to do it in 1 year. So.
All right, thank you so much for sharing. And TL, have you addressed the same question? So there is the flexibility. What's your timeline and why?
So the PPI program, this is the first year that it's been introduced. And when I originally applied, I was attracted to the 1-year program. I'm on a 2-year track now, and honestly, I'm really happy with the pace in which we're learning things, because I feel like with this or with these topics that we learn about and with all of the industries that are involved in the material, I can like ruminate on it, and I can see how things are developing and still go back and like talk to the same people or um, yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see. We'll ask the incoming students who join the PPI Masters 1-year Accelerated how they like it. But I'm really happy with the pace that this 2-year track is going. But um, the material surprisingly overlaps in many ways that, you know, enrich your understanding from one class to another. So that's something I'm really excited about as I'm going through the courses, is how previous material has been overlapping.
Yeah, great. Well, thank you so much for sharing your experience. And yes, so people who enter the PPI program in future semesters will have the option of 1-year or 2-year pace, but the current group did not get that option just because we were slowly rolling out coursework. All right, moving on to the next question, and I will start this question with Erin. Can you give a brief example of what a typical week looks like for you and how you balance coursework with other responsibilities?
So I tend to be kind of type A, perfectionist type personality, like most pharmacists are. And so I hate to leave things till the very end. I really like to try to do my coursework early in the week. Each course is a little bit different, and I've only taken 3 classes so far, so I don't have a ton of experience, but I will say that the professors so far have been pretty flexible based on student feedback. So for example, the class I'm enrolled in this semester, based on student requests, the coursework opens up, I think, on Sundays now instead of, it was originally planned, or maybe Fridays instead of Sunday evening, so that you had an extra weekend built in to get some of that work done. So that really works well for me. I tend to have kind of a fried brain by the end of the workday, and I don't learn well at the end of the weekdays. So I really like doing most of my work on the weekend leading up to, into the week that things are due. You can't work too far ahead. There are, certain assignments each week, but I try to kind of front load that. So when things come up, as they inevitably do, there's some built-in time to play catch up in the evenings when need be. And not to say that always works out well. There's, of course, life happens, and there's definitely nights where you're up all night writing your paper or what have you. But for me personally, I like the flexibility and trying to get it done early on.
All right, thank you for sharing that, Erin. And Kaylin, your perspective on a typical week, similar to Erin's response or different?
Very different. I am not type A. Um, I don't do things like super, super ahead. So I also work full time. Um, and basically, like my typical week would be I'm a really early, like I like to go into work very, very early. I have the flexibility. My boss is on board with the program. So I go in usually and I leave as like around 2. Usually take a break, and then I usually do some work, every evening. I definitely take like an evening or 2 off, just the weeks ebb and flow with like how much work. And usually I like, see what's going on, check everything, go through it that night. I definitely load up my weekends. Absolutely. Like my weekends is when I'm not working. That's when I usually either catch up or just make sure I'm prepared for the next week. Like you do have to spend time preparing. You can't be 100% of a procrastinator because you will miss all the assignments. They're scattered everywhere. And a lot of them are very difficult to do like the day they're due. So you do have to put forethought. But I'm definitely a little more like, I won't do everything on the earlier half of the week. Usually I'm like the later half of the week when I'm kind of zoning out of my job and focusing more on the school. That's kind of like I have a weird clock with that. But yeah.
All right, thank you. It's great to get perspectives from individuals that sort of operate in different portions of the week to show the possibilities of doing so. All right, the next question will go to all panelists. I'll start with you, T. How do you think this program has impacted or will impact your career?
Honestly, I use the course material all the time in my career because I work in the cannabis industry, mainly in the hemp industry. Um, and a lot of my coursework now and in the last couple of classes have included cannabis. So I've been able to get some of the latest research, like access to the latest research and perspectives on the industry as it's rapidly expanding, as well as the other classes that are more so. It's kind of what Kaylin was saying, like their life skill building. So I'm in a project management course, which is entirely applicable to what I do in my professional life. And in terms of understanding regulations, like I can participate in those conversations now because I understand how the FDA operates and how drug development, how the process for drug development is. So it's really enriched my ability to connect with other people as well as expand my own understanding of all the kind of things we might take for granted in this world, like the FDA, drug development, the pharmaceutical industry, and the psychoactive compounds that are really coming full force into consumer paradigm. So I love this program, obviously, but I use it all the time.
Good, that's awesome. Thank you. And keeping with the PPI track of things, Erin, how do you think this program has impacted or will impact your career?
Yeah, I mean, I would say I've been surprised how much it has supplemented knowledge that I had in pharmacy school. But something that wasn't a big part of my curriculum in pharmacy school was the actual drug development process in the industry and the regulatory process through the FDA and things. I don't know if that has changed or maybe that was specific to my school, but I feel like I have just a wider breadth of knowledge of kind of the whole industry now compared to what I got from just my pharmacy school curriculum. So that's been really eye-opening. And as far as how it's going to affect my future career, I'm still sort of figuring that out. That's one of the reasons I chose to do the capstone certificate rather than jump into the master's right away, is because I wasn't sure exactly, what that ultimate job would be that encompasses the master's program. But my current job is in healthcare policy. And so I think that as these drugs become available and used, I hope to get involved with the education of medical providers and just helping to understand where they fit into practice.
All right, great. Thank you so much, Erin. Sticking with the same question, but switching to ADD now. So Kaylin, we'll start with you. How do you think this program has impacted or will impact your career?
Yeah, so since I started my job before this program, I work at like a giant CRO pharmaceutical company. Actually, Zach works at the same place as me, FYI, which is funny. But I think it directly impacts my job. Like my boss is constantly asking me, well, like, what did you learn this week? And there are areas of like the clients that I work with and the method development projects that I'm working on that like even my boss doesn't understand the full scope that I've learned materials from this course. So like in a like academic sense, I am really comfortable at my job and I feel really great. And I feel like I add a ton of input to my team. Like I'm way more valuable, which is really cool. And like I feel like I'm valued by my team and everybody's interested as well. From like a literal standpoint, the program just helps. It looks fantastic on your resume. GXP is a huge area that like ADD really teaches you about. Just saying you know about that can help you apply to so many jobs, like a step above someone who doesn't know about it. And just, yeah, overall, I feel like I've learned so much that is 100% directly related to what I do every day at my job, which is super cool.
That's great. And Kaylin and Zach, did you two know each other prior to the program?
No, we did not.
Oh, that's so interesting. So, Zach, what about you? How do you think this program's impacted or will impact your career?
I 100% agree with everything that's been said so far. One thing that I would emphasize is that like this program has given me a lot more confidence, I think, in my current role in my career. And like everyone's been saying, like the coursework does directly relate to what you're doing. And I think sometimes, coming from undergrad, um, not everything relates or I don't know. I was talking with someone today and how we were talking about, memorizing organic structures and the Krebs cycle is not really something that I'm going to use every day, but this stuff definitely relates directly. And I think something that's also really cool about this program is the internship component that's associated with it. So we can pick something out from the course material that really resonates with us, and then use that directly in our career and in the industry and organize a project, with our supervisors to, put this coursework directly into practice, which I think is really, really cool.
That's great. Thank you all for sharing. One last thing before we open up our session to questions from the audience. And T, I will start with you. What would you say to someone who's on the fence about applying? Why should they apply to either ADD or PPI?
I would say definitely reach out to the students who are already in the programs and the faculty who run the program. Like when I applied, obviously no one had taken the program yet. But Stephanie was amazingly helpful, and everybody else on staff, Lindy, like she knows pretty much everything there is to know about both programs. And then just reach out to any of us students because we're all coming from a lot of different backgrounds and we're learning a lot along the way too. That would be my biggest advice. If you're deciding whether or not I should do it, I say just talk more about it.
All right. And then Erin, to you, any advice or thoughts for those that are considering applying?
I would say that there's little harm in trying because you can go at such a slow pace if you want to. You can try just taking a class or two of interest, and then, as your interest increases or as you kind of see a clearer path forward or as time allows, you can ramp it up. So I think there's really little risk in taking a class or two just to get your feet wet and to see if it's right for you.
Great perspective and reminder about the flexibility of the program that gives the option to start slow. All right, Kaylin, what about you? Any advice for someone who's considering one of the programs?
My advice was my biggest fear. Can you do it with a job? Absolutely. Especially like what Erin said, you can take your time. Zach and I are doing it in 1 year with a full-time job too. You can do that too. People call us crazy, but you can do it. Like you can absolutely do this program. There's so many resources, so much help, so many students and professors who will make it work. And most of your boss will probably be excited too. And if you don't have a job, you can definitely do it. There's so many resources, and this program will help you get a job. So it kind of covers all of that.
All right, Zach, anything else that you would add about advice to someone considering the programs?
I would say take the leap, apply. It's really intimidating to, take that first step, but I mean, as everyone's been saying here, it's so worth it. And there's kind of this fear that I had that taking online coursework that you're going to be on your own and, it's very separate from the university. It's not. As everyone's been saying, the professors, the TAs, reach out to them. They are excellent at providing you the help you need, any topics you're struggling with, or if you're curious about learning or expanding upon details in the curriculum that, aren't super well detailed. They take their time to go through whatever questions you're having or whatever thoughts you'd like expanded upon. So it's been really great.
I just want to give a huge, huge thank you to all 4 of our panelists and everybody who worked to make this webinar possible. And just real quick, T, any final thoughts you want to throw out there?
I would be really excited to speak with anyone who's interested about this program or about life in general. So please come into my circle. And it's really like this whole program, both the PPI and the ADD, just based on like the administrators and the people I've met in the ADD program, have really enriched my life, and have made, it's just made me a lot, like, it's brought a lot of happiness. So I would be more than happy to share that with others as well.
All right, thank you, T. Erin, any final thoughts you want to throw out there?
I just want to echo what T said, that we love to hear from prospective students and are happy to share, any honest experiences that we've had. And we just want a really diverse background group of people coming to our program. So I hope to see some of you as future co-students.
Excellent, thank you. And Kaylin, final thoughts, anything to add?
Honestly, the same thing. Feel free to email me. I know most of you seem to be very interested in the PPI program, but I could still help answer a lot of the blended questions, professor questions, work questions, any questions about UW, anything. An email is not bothersome anytime. I'm always uber excited to like help and communicate with others. So anytime.
All right, thank you, Kaylin. And Zach, any final thoughts?
I'd like to give some kudos to Pat Walsh. I remember having a conversation with him when I was kind of on the fence about joining this program, and he really eased a lot of my nerves. So if you are wondering, like, am I qualified? Can I do this? Like, would recommend having a conversation with him. That was awesome. So thank you, Pat.
Thank you, Zach.
Well, thank you to everyone. It's been such a pleasure speaking with you, and we really appreciate your insights on the program. All audience members, participants, I hope that you have either gotten your questions answered already or you feel like you have great resources to answer them. And I hope that everybody has a wonderful evening.
Thank you so much, everybody. Great job, Zach, T, Erin, Kaylin, and thank you everyone for showing up.